Now, this weekend saw some shocking developments in European football. Barcelona collapsed once again. Post that, their coach Xavi Hernandez announced he would quit at the end of the season. Liverpool were at the receiving end of something similar. Jurgen Klopp announced in a very tearful, emotional message on the club's social media platform that he too was done with his team at Liverpool. Two managers, both calling it quits at different times in their stints or their careers with the respective clubs, yet both these responses got different reactions. Now, the truth is, both have been different scenarios. Let's look at why they quit and what's common or different in these situations. We'll start with Barcelona and the latest casualty, Xavi. We start with the game against Villareal in La Liga. Barca were leading 3-2 with just 6 minutes of normal time left, but from there it was all downhill for Barcelona. Villareal bounced back, and once that happened, Xavi was visibly upset. The manager fussed about a penalty that was denied. Truth was, there probably was no penalty in there. It was maybe just Xavi's anxiety. After the match, he made this announcement.
Before you ask me the relevant questions, I want to announce that on June 30th, I will no longer continue as the coach at Barca. I was just speaking with the president, Rafa and Deco. I think the situation deserves a different course. And as a Barca fan, I cannot allow the current situation. So I am announcing it publicly today. I had to come to a conclusion for a decision before. But after what had happened, I think it's the moment to announce it.
Xavi's contract with Barcelona was supposed to end in the summer of 2025, but now he wants out. And with more than a year left to go, in their last 5 games across competitions, Barca has lost 3. In that run, they conceded 16 goals and are now 10 points behind rivals Real Madrid. Earlier in January, Real crushed them in the Spanish Super Cup, and last week, Athletic Club knocked out Xavi's team in the Copa del Rey quarterfinals. Now, there have been many speculations about Xavi's future amid all these losses, and especially over the last few months. And now with Barcelona at its most vulnerable moment, its most vulnerable phase, if you would say so, we'll have to start looking for someone else to fill Xavi's shoes. It's a feeling that's worse for the squad, who will play the rest of the season knowing a new coach will be taking charge, not knowing whether that will go any better. Not a good place to be in, you'd agree. Watching Barcelona's game against Villareal, you might think this was probably the last nail in the coffin, something that finally led Xavi to announce what he had been thinking about for a while now.
To explain it a bit better, the feeling of being Barca coach is unpleasant. It's cruel. You feel that often there is a lack of respect. You feel they do not value your work. And this wears you down terribly. It affects your mental health. I am a positive person, but the energy goes down to a point where you think that there is no sense.
Now, what he says there is a clear revelation. He was not happy. Xavi was not happy in Barcelona. There was no respect. That's the word he uses. He says even for a positive person like him, there was no light. The situation at Barcelona clearly stressed him out. So this is him sort of cutting off the toxicity that had begun to weigh him down. We've seen this happening in sport with some of the best athletes in the world. Xavi has also said that his decision will not change, no matter how Barcelona probably goes ahead to perform in the remainder of the season. What does Xavi leave behind, though? He was appointed the head coach in November 2021 as Ronald Koeman's successor and guided the team to the La Liga title. Before that, he captained Barcelona and played for them for 17 long years. So there's history and bucket loads of it. It was during his time as a player that Barcelona played some of its most successful, charismatic football. But contrastingly, when Xavi took charge as manager years later, the club was crumbling under financial burden. The talismanic Messi had been lost to PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. There was no Andre Iniesta, Luis Suarez. They didn't have the money to replace them either. So when Xavi had to take over in 2021, he knew he would have to battle with all this, work with limited resources. But he was willing to do that. The loyalty to the club stood stronger than his own mental fortitude. He started gradually assembling a squad which could play the La Liga. Players like Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha arrived, and Barca was beginning to take some shape after the chaos just when Xavi took over. In fact, announcing his exit has been linked wholly to just the losses in the recent times, of Barcelona missing out on titles. Fans and critics have forgotten that the beauty of sport lies in its unpredictability, that there are a lot of games still left to be played, a lot of twists and turns that could unfold. They seem to have forgotten that Barcelona won the 2022-23 La Liga league title after 4 seasons, an achievement with Xavi at the helm. But Barca's stuttering campaign has put pressure on him. Fans have forgotten all that is possible and have put blinders on to just take their jibes at the manager, not realizing all that Xavi had to go through to try and get Barcelona back on track. Apart from the noise outside, key players in the squad floundering, Lewandowski, Araujo are miles away from being at their best. Gavi's injury, all have collectively put Xavi under pressure, creating a very toxic environment for him to prolong the agony. Well, in many ways, he is a tragic hero. He gave Barcelona a new lease of life, and when some things went all wrong, fans changed sides. Which brings me to a club like Liverpool and to the man who decided to walk alone, Jurgen Klopp. When he announced that he would resign, fans were emotional. There was disbelief. Klopp said the season would be his last at Anfield. He said his energy was waning. Since 2015, he led the Reds to multiple trophies. Got them through tough times as well. During his reign, Liverpool won the Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup and Super Cup. He's someone who has held the club together, including the fans, the dressing room and even their opponents. Now, when asked about his old partner, Manchester City's manager Pep Guardiola, when asked about the announcement, well, he saw the lighter side to it.
I will sleep better. The days, the games before play against Liverpool always was almost a nightmare. So of course will be missed. So it was shock, like I think everyone, to the news. So I felt when I'm in the news, a part of Man City will lose something. We cannot define our period here together without him. We cannot define our period without Liverpool.
That just shows the kind of bond everyone, even across the teams, shared with someone like Jurgen Klopp. He revived the Reds and was given the long rope too. He was at the helm for years, unlike Xavi. The dynamics in football realm is such that it scrutinizes high-profile people, especially people in charge, at the helm of affairs. But Xavi's exit has brought the focus back on certain big footballers who couldn't really translate that success as much as a manager. Whether it was Thierry Henry at Monaco, Frank Lampard at Chelsea, but this is just to name a couple. Of course, a lot depends on the owners, how much faith they have in the managers that they have brought in. But at the core of a successful managerial stint is temperament. To withstand the pressure, soak it all in and give it back in equal measure. And yes, it's probably not at all as easy as it sounds out there.